After a long period of deafening silence, the news broke that Ronnie Doe was no longer with them. A man who had publicly declared his love for Chrisean Rock later turned against them, publicly questioning the paternity of her child and dragging her name through the mud online. In the days after his death, Chrisean Rock remained silent, with no social media, interviews, or response. However, today, that silence broke, and Chrissy finally spoke, not with prepared words, but with obvious pain and unwavering honesty. Her voice was shaking, and her eyes were filled with tears, but her message was piercingly clear. She didn't just acknowledge Ronnie's passing. She also faced the swirling DNA rumors and addressed the betrayal that had haunted her publicly. The statement landed like a thunderclap, shaking fans, critics, and Ronnie took a secret to the grave. But why did he lash out so violently in his final months with claims that baby Junior might not be his? Chrissy's death feels darker, heavier, like the fuse on something far more explosive has just been lit. Ronnie's death isn't the end of this story. It may be the beginning of a truth so volatile that it could unravel everything to grasp the truth. Even her family was affected by this long overdue confrontation with the truth. To fully comprehend the weight of Chrissy Rock's words, we must go back in time to when she finally spoke out. Ronnie Doe wasn't just an ex for a brief moment. He was someone who held her heart and later almost broke her from within. His name was Karen McCann, and he wasn't pursuing fame or power. Instead, he moved in the background, calling himself a real one, and kept a low profile until everything changed the moment Christian left Blueface. From the quiet, no press releases, no major interviews, just cryptic social posts and suggestive photos, the story took a turn for the worse, and it hasn't stopped since. During that now famous live stream, Ronnie dropped what he claimed was indisputable proof, along with a voice note, screenshot, and one jaw-dropping quote that sent social media into a frenzy. "Blue ain't the dad," he claimed she said, followed by the chilling declaration, "When the time comes, I'm taking the kid." Some people took him seriously, believing he was revealing a secret, while others accused him of attempting to exploit his position. Then came his most audacious and controversial move. Ronnie set up a private paternity test behind Christian's back and publicly declared that if the child turned out to be his, he'd fight for full custody of the child. "I'm not letting my son grow up like that," Ronnie said in her final defiant words before Chrisean Rock snapped that very night. Her voice was steady but on fire, and her fury was unmistakable. Ronnie wasn't even close to finished. He unleashed a storm of cryptic tweets, vague threats, and heavy-handed hints. He called the situation a ticking time bomb and kept the tension high. "She shot back at me saying, 'Yes, I loved him once, that's true, but don't you dare come for my child. That baby's got one father and it's not Ronnie.'" Her words sliced through the noise like a blade, and the conflict between truth and spectacle reached a fever pitch. The internet was ablaze with hashtags like Team Christian Ronnie X exposed DNA or drama, as both fans and skeptics demanded answers. But despite the chaos, one important detail remained hidden: the DNA results. Christian never shared them, neither when the pressure increased, nor when critics accused her of concealing something. Instead, she remained silent until everything took a terrifying turn on February 3, 2025. When Ronnie Doe was shot and left dead outside a quiet residential complex in Sever, Maryland, the questions everyone thought they were asking abruptly changed to something much darker. The police called it a targeted attack, but there were no suspects, no arrests, and officially no connection to Chrissy Rock. However, the internet had already decided within hours that she was the villain, and her old live streams resurfaced. Arguments replayed frame by frame, and conspiracy theories exploded across comment sections. Some wrote that she had him silenced, which is why she never showed the test until today. Her silence was accompanied by a stark black and white video with no glamour background music. She was honest and stripped down, and her voice was steady, but cracked. She said, "I don't need people picking apart my grief because he did. It wasn't a press release. Rather, it was a reckoning." The police quickly labeled Ronnie Doe's death a targeted attack, with no suspects, arrests, or official connection to Chrisean Rock, but online that didn't matter because the story had already taken a dark turn within hours. Arguments were discussed, theories spiraled, and accusations were made, and she got him silenced. Wide open in a stark black and white video, raw and unedited, she finally spoke. No filters, no music, just a trembling voice, steady hands, and eyes holding more than grief, and said, "I wasn't going to let the world dissect that I was hurting." She acknowledged that Ronnie had deeply hurt her, but she also said, "I never wanted this. He questioned something he had no right to, and now he'll never even hear the truth." Then came the moment when fans had been waiting impatiently for a revelation that had been shrouded in silence for almost a year. The room seemed to still as those words hung in the air, each syllable carrying the finality of years of speculation, pain, and endless questions. She said softly, allowing that profound truth to settle not only with herself, but with every listener who had longed for closure. But this was no simple conclusion. It wasn't a neat ending to a troubled story, but it marked the opening of a far more complex chapter. The tone of her voice changed from the previous calm to something harder, resolute, and raw. "There's more y'all don't know," she declared, her voice now carrying the weight of unspoken burdens. She spoke of messages, dark threats, and coercive things that had shadowed her in the background, but had never before been publicly voiced. "I'm done protecting people," she said, in a quiet but powerful declaration that the era of silence and shielding others was over. This sudden unveiling stunned fans and followers alike, not only because of what she revealed, but also because of what lingered just beneath the surface, left unsaid but heavily implied. There was a flicker of fear, a subtle tremor in her eyes and voice that spoke volumes about the danger that had surrounded her, the unseen threats that lurked behind the scenes. Public drama. Ronnie's death, which many saw as the tragic conclusion of a tumultuous relationship, suddenly took on new, darker dimensions. It was no longer just a heartbreak or scandal, but the last devastating move in a calculated and dangerous game that Ronnie had been involved in long before the public saw him. Her confession revealed layers of control and manipulation that went far beyond what the public understood, suggesting that the battles they fought were about more than just personal grievances. They were about power control and secrets that someone desperately wanted to keep hidden. Threats, coercion, and hidden messages that were not merely footnotes, but crucial pieces of a larger puzzle that had been put together. Fans and onlookers struggled with the new perspective she offered, believing that Ronnie's death was more than just a tragic outcome. Rather, it might have been the culmination of a complex and dangerous conflict that extended beyond their personal lives. The floodgates had opened, and with them came not just answers but more questions, mysteries, and the undeniable sense that the story was far from over. Together behind closed doors, she spoke out because it was both an act of courage and a step toward reclaiming control in a situation that had long felt out of her hands. Insiders now claim that Ronnie was trying to sell it, shopping it around for a price before his time in the spotlight ran out. As his version of events began to unravel, he went nuclear. Insiders now claim that Ronnie was building a digital arsenal, using screenshots, direct messages, and audio files to damage Christian's credibility not only on social media but also in court. One blogger even shared an alleged DM from Ronnie that read, "When it drops, she'll have to disappear." He received anonymous emails signed only with RDD, which contained blurred ultrasound images, text arguments, and a mysterious voice note that never surfaced. Next came the first leak, a sample of garbled audio that was obviously Ronnie's. She begged me to lie for her after telling me the baby wasn't mine, and I answered, "No," in a voice that was chilling in its content. The threat began at that point. "Do you guys believe she's broken?" "Nope, she's dangerous. Remember this recording if anything were to happen to me." The second leak only added to the mystery. A screenshot of a $2,500 PayPal transaction between Ronnie and an anonymous account, with the caption, "Payment baby proof file transfer," dated just 1 week before his death. The internet erupted, asking whether it was a real warning or a planned setup. The question now was, a private investigator who was allegedly hired by Ronnie for his custody case posted a PDF at the center titled Summary of Digital Communications, Rock vs. Doe Custody Claim. If you knew what Christian's sister said to him before he died, you wouldn't have to respond, but she did. Ronnie was blackmailing Christian, selling false information, or was he being used as a pawn by someone else with darker intentions? Then Christian's own sister went live, adding gasoline to an already burning fire. You don't know what she did to that man. If you knew what she said to him, you wouldn't be lying either. The final piece revealed a voicemail Ronnie left on Christian's phone less than 24 hours before his death. His voice was tired and cracked, saying, "I messed up. I know I went too far. You don't have to forgive me. I just don't want to be the villain forever. Tell the baby I'm sorry. No one knows who heard." At first, but Christian kept it. Ronnie repeatedly demanded hush money and threatened to expose her if she didn't comply. One message read, "You made me look like a fool. You owe me. If I can't be the dad, I'll still be the headline." Without a caption, the internet revealed how what started out as a messy ex-drama had turned into something much more terrifying, including manipulation, betrayal, and a haunting farewell. The storm may have passed, but the aftershock is only getting started. Authorities quickly declared Ronnie Doe's death a targeted hit, with no suspects, arrests, or official evidence connecting Chrisean Rock to the crime. However, the internet wasn't waiting for proof. Within hours, the court of public opinion had rendered its verdict, and old live streams were shared and clipped. Old arguments were dissected, conspiracies spread like wildfire. She silenced him. And some claimed that was why the DNA results were never released. She then abruptly reappeared, but this time it was in a silent, black-and-white video without any music or editing. Her voice was unfiltered. Her hands were steady, and her eyes were heavy with something more than grief. "I stayed quiet because I was in pain," she said, "and I wasn't about to let the world dissect that." She said, "I never wished this ending. For him. He doubted something he never had the right to question, and now he'll never hear the truth." Then, after everyone had been waiting for almost a year, she held up a folder and spoke quietly. The DNA test was done in real labs. She acknowledged the hurt Ronnie caused and offered no excuses. Documentation: Blueface is the father of Ronnie, but she paused to let the lies sink in. Her voice darkened, and she said, "They're dead, and so is the pain. But the video wasn't even close." She also claimed that Ronnie tried to coerce her into doing things. "I'm done protecting people," she declared. And that's when the floodgates opened, not just for Christian, but for the entire world watching. Because what shocked fans wasn't just what she said, it was what she didn't. Behind her composure flickered something else: fear. Ronnie's death. It turned out that Ronnie's death wasn't just the tragic conclusion of a toxic romance. It was the final act in a twisted game he had been playing long before the public realized. Christian forced her to move late one evening before court. A 10-second teaser showed a black screen with soft baby cries in the backdrop, followed by her voice saying, "I kept all of the files. Now ask yourself, who's scared?" Fans wondered if she was preparing a documentary or a wrongful death countersuit when a countdown appeared 7 days ago. According to reports, her legal team was drafting what was evident. Christian was no longer running, breaking, or apologizing. And when she appeared in court next, she wouldn't be the one on trial because of mounting pressure. The court of public opinion had already found her guilty and acquitted her numerous times, but the real bombshell came just 1 day later. Before her court date, an uncut, anonymous dashcam video surfaced that changed everything. The video, which was just under 2 minutes long, showed Ronnie behind the wheel with Lace's mother, Chrissy, next to him. Fans recognized Chrissy's voice right away, and what she said was heartbreaking. What do you want me to do? You said you're not the father, so play the role of a man and get custody. We'll handle the rest." Then came the terrifying part. Chrissy said, "We will strike if we have her declared unfit in court because she will lose everything." Just as people were processing this shift, Christian posted a raw voice memo to her Instagram story. "You have no idea how long I stayed silent, how long I let lies spread. Recordings twist my truth. But now you're about to see what I've been holding on to." The video cut off the internet, and the legal team filed a new motion overnight. Arteris flipped. Munch Chrissy tub munch free Christian munch justice for Ronnie surged. That's when everyone realized that Chrisean Rock wasn't just showing up to court. She was coming to name names, drop files, reveal recordings, and testify under oath. Here's the twist. Insiders whisper that the final piece is an unreleased video purportedly from Christian's vault that shows Ronnie in tears confessing, "I didn't want to do this. I thought if I went along, I'd still be in his life." The deposition includes screenshots of Chrissy coaching Ronnie, secret phone conversations, and a signed NDA between Ronnie and someone close to Blueface that commits Ronnie to pushing a false paternity story. If true Christian were to regain full custody of baby Junior, Chrissy might face serious legal repercussions, and Blueface might be implicated in a federal obstruction investigation. In less than a day, Christian will enter that courtroom not as a shattered person. That changes everything. This wasn't simply drama, betrayal, or tragedy. It was a setup. Woman. But as a force poised to overthrow the entire system, prepare yourself, because tomorrow is the day that the truth will be revealed. This complicated, heartbreaking tale of manipulation, power, and survival is far from over. When Christian appears in court, she is not only defending her child, she is determined to uncover the lies, expose the puppeteers, and reveal the story that no one wanted to hear. What is really going on behind the scenes between Chrissy and Ronnie? Was Blueface merely a bystander, or was a key player in something darker? If the deposition is released, who else might fall? We would like to hear your opinion.